Hey everybody, welcome to this week's update on the market. Uh, just wanted to kind of recap some of the price action that was happening within the past couple of weeks actually. Kind of a few crazy weeks we had, huge slide downs from major indexes only to rally these past 3 weeks. Quick disclosure, this presentation or anything on my Twitter, Discord, Telegram, or any other medium mode of communication, including private to correspondence, constitutes financial advice. I am not a financial advisor and hold no formal qualifications in this area, so trade entirely at your own risk, and this video is really for entertainment purposes only. So that being said, today's date is going to be Saturday, January the 12th. Current time is going to be 3:15 p.m. Central Time. And I just kind of wanted to go over a couple of things that are happening in the market. Um, I've been really skeptical about some of the moves that have shown up within the past week. I like to look at the indexes on kind of a larger time frame because when you look at them in a larger time frame, it's really kind of a big picture situation. Sorry. And like I said, we've had quite a few red candles with a few bounces up. I don't remember who I was talking to in the Discord, but I remember saying, the whole phrase of buying the dip only really works when you're in an uptrend. So something like from this area here to this area here, yeah, if you're buying the dip, that's totally going to work because we're in a current uptrend. Um, and what I'm seeing now is we're starting to dip into this downtrend. How long that's going to last, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can only make inferences from like probability. Sorry, I'm having major trouble today. Um, Either way, that being said, we're hitting that area that I mentioned not too long ago that we would hit, and I'm actually thinking there's probably a little bit more room to go. I don't know how much. We've already rallied really hard, and it's nearing the end, so the risk to reward ratio is going to be pretty slim here. This is not where I would be placing longs, in my opinion. I don't have anything open right now, but just to kind of show you, this is the 1 week time frame. Each one of these candles is representing 1 week, and as you can see, I mean, this is the S&P overall from 2009 to now. Yeah, we've had some major corrections. This one looking like a huge correction, as they're still calling it on the news channels. But one of the things is we're looking at this, and back in October we kind of had a quick correction and then made it back, and almost really looking like it double topped, even though we did create a higher high. Um, I actually ended up pulling out quite a bit whenever we hit this correction here, and especially on the rebound. I've just noticed quite a few things, and I ended up doing an options call right here on this 200 EMA. I always mark my charts with a brown 200 EMA. Um, Obviously, the higher the number in the EMA, it's going to be a higher significance of support or resistance, depending on whatever you're looking at. Um, if you look here, right here, I also use a 4 EMA. That's kind of like my momentum indicator to kind of show you whether or not we're going to make crossovers on the EMA. So looking at this week chart, basically we start over here where all of our EMAs go from uh, smallest to biggest number, and this is holding that 4 EMA pretty well. Um, Even though we didn't really close under this 9 EMA here, we still closed right above it, and the price action held up pretty well. Um, that's the 13 EMA. Most of y'all know my system by now. For those newcomers, we'll go over it later in a team viewer, but either way, you can see how well this is rebounding up until the point at which we fall all the way through past this 25 EMA, and our price action even dips almost exactly to that 50 EMA. It's crazy how well these EMAs hold. It's like some of them could really stop a train, but either way, so yeah, we make a little correction here, a little bit of accumulation, and then back up to create this higher high, but ultimately we're coming back down to revisit lower levels. Um, And as you can see, we stay pretty much in just the opposite way. We stay pretty much underneath that 4 EMA. We do have a relief rally after we tap this 100 EMA and then make it all the way back to the 9 EMAs where we close right underneath it, which is a pretty big indicator that we're going to go a little bit lower, because that 9 EMA, in my opinion, is one of the most significant. But the price action actually taps this area of resistance and support that I've mapped out from previous time frame. And that's because if you can tell from some of the price action before, it goes up, doesn't go past that point, dips back down, doesn't go past that point, and when it does, it actually creates that higher high, so it's showing pretty significant. And then if you look at it here, we're still showing significant resistance. Of course, if we're on the other side of it, it becomes support, and if you look, when we broke through that, that support was broken. So of course we're going to come back up and try to tap that, and obviously there's a failed attempt there, and that's why we started dipping lower. So we're looking at this 9 EMA, and price action goes up even to the 13 EMA. And then this week we opened up really high but just shot straight down, and it's been kind of a straight down from there. But if you'll notice where we ended this week, and what's most important is where the candle ends. A lot of times it's very hard for traders to grasp the emotional aspect of holding until a candle ends, and that's where most traders have their biggest downfalls. But if you're looking, we're actually showing resistance right at this 109 EMA. So there's significant resistance there. So what's going to happen is this next candle is going to open up come Monday, and this 9 EMA is probably going to go down a little bit, because I think we're probably going to create a crossover on these two EMAs, which the 9 crossing over on anything is a pretty big deal. That's one of my main indicators, is anytime that the 9 crosses over or under, then there's going to be a significant jump or decrease in price. So I'm looking at this right now. I don't want to say this is like a neutral sign, but it's definitely something that requires some time to really develop. If I had to guess, and I'm going to switch over to a daily chart because this is going to give me a little bit more information. So one of the things we're looking at is this area right here. This is so choppy, but the cool thing about that is that we've created this perfect channel. And as you can see, once we broke through that support line that I mentioned earlier, we came up to tap it again, drop down, tap it, drop down, almost tap it, didn't quite make it, drop down. Well, so we know that we didn't cross that over, but we did create this opportunity in this channel. And if you can see where most of our candles are, we're going to even say like right here, maybe right there. I'm going to go ahead and put it right there, because as you can see, now we're trading within this channel here. Boom, boom, boom. And we've just, this is actually a pretty big pattern. Sometimes it would be, I'd be inclined to call this a bullish pattern, but it's not, because this one never actually tapped that top resistance. And one of the rules is that whenever you are trading within a channel, the more attempts at a specific support or resistance are going to create a higher significance for that value. So if we had tapped this 3 times, then the likelihood is that if we tap it a 4th and it goes over, then we're probably going to go up in this trend. Of course, that's not the case here, because in just the opposite effect, we go 1, tap here 2, tap here 3, try to rally, we come back down, and on that 4th tap, we basically close right underneath it. So that would have been a huge, huge sell signal, and it shows because this is where we ended up. Okay, so now that we're looking at this daily, just like I had mentioned before, anything that was previous support, as this was, is now going to act as resistance, which makes a lot of sense, because if you're looking at this daily, one of the major EMAs that's showing resistance is going to be this 50. Is that a 50? And you can pause the video here and show you. This will show you all my EMAs and what I label them color-wise. And it looks to be, yeah, that's a 50. So on a daily, this 50 on the S&P is looking like pretty significant resistance. But one point I do want to make out, especially for our newcomers here, and why I use this 4 EMA so heavily, is because you'll probably look at this and be like, hey, well, check out this breakout from that 50. Shouldn't we have gone up from there? You would like to think so, but if you're looking at this 4 EMA, and this is why candles are so important to let them close, is that even though we made it all the way there and created this hammer, this 4 EMA did cross over, but shortly got rejected. So it never actually crossed over, and then the next, there was no confirmation the next day. And that's really what you want to wait for, is just be patient and trade your pocket trades. So back to the future. Oh, God, that's terrible. Sorry. Um, Now we're looking at this 50 EMA being resistance for us again, but we're also looking at this particular price level, which is 263.07, and we're looking at that being resistance now because, as before, where it was support and then broke, we're now looking at it as resistance because the golden rule is old support becomes new resistance and vice versa. So yeah, I do think we're probably going to tap that 263, which it'll probably happen early on in the week. That would be just my guess. The markets tend to love to try to rally at the beginning of the week, get everybody's confidence up, and they completely, draw everybody into the tub right before they throw the toaster in. So that's what I think is going to happen because if you look on a weekly, look on a weekly scale, and it's just like this is just still a really bearish pattern. We're still under heavy significance. We did tap that 200 or that 200 EMA, and we're just still showing in a major downtrend. So really, we're going to have to wait a little bit more before confirming anything completely. But that's kind of where we're at with that. And that's why I wanted to make this video, is that we're probably going to see a little bit of a jump in the price action. I was also calling for TVIX at like $45. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's probably me being greedy. But I do think we're probably going to make 47 or so. Oops. Most of the time I like to trade on a 1 hour time frame because the 1 hour tends to shape up and show you a little bit more before some of the bigger moves come. And the only reason I knew that is because if we're looking at this 1 hour chart, we ended up breaking through that 200 EMA and closing that candle out. And I was like, okay. So I waited for this candle to close here, showing that our 4 had crossed over. And once it closed, it's a definite crossover. Well, now we're looking at that 9 EMA crossing over, which is going to be pretty significant. So we had a little bit of a rally there. It crossed over there, confirmed it there. Well, one thing is that if your 9 EMA is going to cross over, it's likely going to test it and maybe even test the 13 EMA for price action. And it did. It did exactly that right there. Well, I actually built a short on TVIX right here, and I kind of let it ride. And I closed it right at about 50 bucks because the market likes its whole numbers, and that's kind of where we're at with that right now. So a little bit of a profit made there, and as you can see, we're still downtrending here, and so I think we got a little bit further to go, especially if you look at this gap fill right here. TVIX created this nice gap, and one thing about gap fills is that they are likely to fill. So this gap fill is right around 45.87, and that's why I think we'll hit 46 or so before maybe even. I mean, and that would make sense because with the TVIX being so inverse to SPY or the S&P, then this has room to go down, and the S&P has room to go up before they both decide to head back in either direction. So, anyways, that was pretty much all I wanted to get out here for this video. If you guys have any questions or want me to go over anything else, I'm more than happy to. Right now, I don't have any. Well, I do have one play. It's going to be this right here. I'll show you guys. Drip is the play that I am looking at. We've got some really nice bottom accumulation right here. Hopefully my entry is going to be somewhere around this $11 range. I'm going to slowly get in, but I'm looking for a pretty big profit up to about 14 bucks. This is pretty much the only play that I have going right now. Everything else is going to be at resistance. I played Apple option calls and I ended up closing those with a profit. Like I said, everything is going to probably go up, but risk to reward ratio here just isn't worth it for me. Um, and like I said, everybody's got their different styles of trading. I just like to maximize my profits and minimize my risk. Obviously, that's the game, but I'm looking at this one pretty heavily. So that's what we're looking at for next week. If anybody else has any recommendations, go ahead and post them up in the Discord. And like I said, questions, go ahead and shoot them to me, whether they're private message or whether you just want to tag me in them. I'll do my best to get to them. Got an announcement coming next week too, so pretty looking forward to that as well. So I will see you guys later. Again, hit me with those questions, and y'all trade safe.